Hello everyone. So this video is quite different from the normal stuff I post, which is typically just me playing video games. But here's a new thing I'm doing with Krayrk. So this is how these videos are going to work. Me and Krayrk will watch a movie beforehand, and then we'll record talking about that movie and what we rate it. And the rating system will work like this by rating it for the plot, the writing, the visuals, the engagement, the soundtrack, acting, pacing, rewatchability, character development, and character design. All of these are rated out of 10, and then we're going to start with the first hour of the movie, write down what we think about it, rate it, whatever, and then we'll do the second hour.
I'll talk about the first half of the movie, and then Topper will talk about the second half of the movie. Me and Topper do love the original trilogy Star Wars movies. However, we promise we are not being biased whenever reviewing these movies. We are going to rate them completely honestly, and we rate them as we watch it. Anyways, on to the movie. So, right off the bat, me and Topper were very impressed, in the visuals at least, whenever the Imperial Star Destroyer was shooting down the Corvette. The close-up shots of the underside of the Star Destroyer seemed very unique, and the lasers, albeit very poor quality, but then again, it was kind of the 70s, and this thing has not been done very much. We were still pretty surprised at the quality that went into the visuals. Now, in the Corvette, whenever it gets docked by, pulled in by the Imperial Star Destroyer, the explosions and the pyrotechnics from whenever the stormtroopers blow down the door and storm in, that impressed us greatly, and that also helped boost points to the visuals category. Now, whenever Darth Vader walked in, that's when me and Topper started considering the character design category, and we decided that Darth Vader and R2-D2 looked very unique, and we decided that they would, help out points for the character design. However, C-3PO we thought was a little lacking in the design category. He's just, like a humanoid robot that's kind of already been a thing, pretty popular with science fiction and all that. And we just did not think he looked as unique as some of the other protocol droids that were in the movie. So he didn't really add anything to the character design. However, the interactions with Darth Vader and Princess Leia, that really helped boost parts of the acting scene.
To know what happened to the plans they sent you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take it away!
The acting was really good, especially with Darth Vader, when he deadass sounded genuinely pissed off about, the events that's transpiring. It was really cool. We liked it a lot. And then, skip ahead a bit, and then on Tatooine, there really wasn't much that we considered for anything. I mean, the Tusken Raiders did kind of boost, the character design, and Mark Hamill did fantastically with his, acting as Luke, so that kind of helped both of those categories. But we didn't really add much to anything until we got to Mos Eisley. And with the Cantina, we get to see all different kinds of aliens and species, and all these different unique aliens in one short span of time really showed us the creativity behind this movie and really boosted the character design section of the first half of the movie. And with the interactions between Han Solo and, Luke Skywalker and Ben Kenobi, and the interactions with Han Solo and Greedo, we bumped up points for the acting category because Harrison Ford just did an amazing job. He does an amazing job throughout the whole movie. Topper is going to talk about it in the second half of the movie with a certain scene that we thought was really funny. But other than that, we didn't really mark anything else down for categories until the destruction of Alderaan, which was really good as far as visuals go. And so, a breakdown of the first half of the movie and what we scored. For the plot, we marked down a 10 out of 10 because it's kind of a unique plot. I mean, it's following the hero's journey, but it does really good with the hero's journey outline, For writing, we gave it a 10 out of 10 because I don't know. It's just most of the interactions seemed very natural and they flowed very well, and it felt very realistic. The visuals we gave a 10 out of 10, mainly because all this like lasers and blowing shit up and all the like practical like pyrotechnics and stuff, that really surprised us. Engagement was a 10 out of 10. Normally whenever me and Topper are like watching a movie, we're like cracking jokes throughout the whole thing, we're like talking a bit, but with this movie, it actually kind of got us to like shut up and actually watch it. So that got a 10 out of 10. The soundtrack, we gave the soundtrack for this movie, or at least for the first half, an 8 out of 10. The music was there, but we couldn't really hear it and it wasn't really distinct. To say for like in The Empire Strikes Back, you have the Imperial March, or in Episode 3, you've got the Order 66 theme. Those really stood out, but for the first half of A New Hope, there wasn't really many songs that stood out. Acting, we gave it a solid 10 out of 10. Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, all of them did an amazing job with what they had, and really good. Pacing, we gave pacing a 7 out of 10 because right off the bat we're dropped into action, which personally I like, but we didn't really see much action until Maz Eisley and Alderaan being blown up, which was about 30 to 45 minutes away from the start of the movie. Rewatchability, we gave it an 8 out of 10. The first half of the movie is kind of boring, because it's setting up everything. Rewatching it again, it's interesting, it's fun, but it's not something we'd go out of our way to do, so we ranked it an 8 out of 10. Character development, we ranked it a 5 out of 10. We ranked it a 5 out of 10 because since it was so early on in the movie, and it was just establishing characters, we did not see much development. However, we do see a little more development in the second half of the movie. But for the first half, we gave it a 5 out of 10. Character design, we gave it a flat out 10 out of 10. It was phenomenal. All the different species of not animals, all the different species of aliens, and the designs of, like Darth Vader was really, like, pretty much just blew us away. It was really nice, when like the close-up shots with Vader, you can definitely see the suit's like shortcomings whenever it's being produced, right? But it was the first movie, so we kind of looked past that, and we were looking at the design itself, really not the quality of it, like the material quality of it. So for the design, we really liked it, and in total, the first half of the movie gets an 80 out of 10.
For the second half of A New Hope, you have all the main characters on the Millennium Falcon. They were traveling to Alderaan, but it ended up not really being there because it was the Death Star that, shot it and blew it up. And which, because of that, Obi-Wan says that he sensed, like, fear and then just silence, which really adds to the character design. Which, because of how powerful Obi-Wan really was, and no one really kind of knew that. They just thought he was some old dude. But, yeah, and then, and then they infiltrate the Death Star, and, because they found the TIE fighter just out of nowhere, and they followed it, and that's no moon, that's a space station, which is a great part of the writing, because that's a classic quote, and it makes it very rewatchable because of that quote right there, which you've probably even heard and didn't even know is probably from Star Wars. They infiltrate the Death Star, and they go up to the ship bay, shoot everyone up in there, leave C-3PO and R2-D2 to check the comms and, hack into the stuff, because Han and Luke wanted to save Princess Leia because she was rich, and that was how Luke tricked Han into it. And they get Princess Leia, but that they had to shoot up some more people, and that was the control console guy. He said he was like Han tried to convince the control guy how to not send any more units up there, and the control dude was just like, we're sending in units, and Han was like, no, don't do that, and then he's like, darn it, whatever, and then shoots it, and then he's like, yeah, we're gonna have company or whatever, and then they get in a whole shootout and all that, and then the next part with Han is when those stormtroopers came down the hallway and he shoots one of them, and then they all take off running, and then Han goes right after them, and then Han's like screaming and yelling at them, and then like they turn the corner, and then like Han turns the corner to go into that room, and all of a sudden it's like a whole room full of like 30 stormtroopers, and then like the genuine like terror look he had on his face, even though it wasn't genuine because it was acting, was just so great that it really adds to the writing and the acting, because like the writing, like you don't, that's like kind of like just a random moment, like you really didn't need that scene in there, but it just makes it really actually also rewatchability too, because it's just like you want to go back and just watch the random funny moments like that that just makes the movie all the way better. And then the character design, of course, because like it's Han, he's just kind of like that, you know. Uh, and then you have the death of Obi-Wan, which honestly transitions to more character development and writing, because it helps Luke's character development later on in the next, like near the end of the movie when they're assaulting the Death Star, which I'll get there in a bit. Um, yeah, Obi-Wan's death shows the development on how. Wait, I just said that. Obi-Wan's death really shows the character design of how he wasn't just your normal like old dude who has some weird power or whatever called the Force. Like it shows how he's still there, but like you don't see him, you just hear his voice throughout the rest of the movie. So it shows that he's more powerful than he looks. Uh, and then you have the Yavin 4 planning scene, which is a great writing part, because it shows how they put legitimate like detail into it and how they invade Death Star, have like plans and stuff, and how they're gonna have these specific units do that specific thing. Then on the Death Star, well, not really on it, like around it, I guess, in the trenches of it, you have the development of Luke, because of Kenobi. You hear Kenobi going like, Luke, or like use the Force, Luke, and Luke's like, what? Or he's just like, whatever, you know. And then he's like, all right, fine, whatever. And he like turns off like the monitor thing, and then like everyone's like, what are you doing? And then he uses the Force because he closes his eyes and he shoots and it goes right in the hole. That's what she said. And blows up the Death Star, of course, which also adds up to the visual design, not visual, yeah, the visual rating we put on here. Because the Death Star explosion was amazing. I mean, nowadays it's probably not as good, but because this is from the 70s, we're rating it based on the time it was released. That was like amazing, beautiful, like imagery and everything. Even the fighters, the starfighters that were fighting were really good too, because like you can like see like them like spinning and stuff, and before they like blew up and all that, uh, which is probably what it felt like too. And then the pacing for it, uh, okay, yeah. So actually, I'll get there here. The score we ended up putting for these last few kind of scenes in the movie, for the plot, we put 10 out of 10 because it was good, great storyline. You know, it starts off with like the plans for the infiltration of the Death Star. They barely got away with it. Then they ended up using that to destroy it in the very end. Then you got the writing of the actors and stuff. It's great. You know, you got like Luke's like great acting, Han's or Mark Hamill's great acting, and Harrison Ford's great acting, and then you have like pretty much all the actors are really good in this movie. The visuals were amazing. You got the pyrotechnics in the beginning, which is what Krayrk was talking about. Then you got the Death Star explosion here at the end. You got the engagement was we put a 9 out of 10, because it wasn't. I mean, it was pretty engaging the whole time, but I think there was one part where we kind of zoned out on, which was the Yavin 4 planning scene. That was kind of a bit boring, but it's still it was there because for storyline purposes. The soundtrack was great, 10 out of 10. It was great for the movie. The acting was also a 10 out of 10. The pacing was 8 out of 10 because it really just goes by fast. Even though the movie is like a little over, I think, 2 hours long, it is still very fast paced, and it's just a whole bunch thrown at you very quickly. Even in the very end, the whole Death Star fight scene was pretty fast too. Uh, Rewatchability is definitely a 10 out of 10. To go back and watch the moments like Han, chasing down the stormtroopers, stormtroopers, and then turning the corner and seeing a whole bunch of them, and he just like looks terrified and like starts running away from them, and just stuff like that was great. And then the character development was 8 out of 10 because there wasn't There was a decent amount of character development, but it was mainly focused on Luke, which comes in later in the movies. Uh, Character design was 10 out of 10. All the like Darth Vader, uh, Han Solo, like the way they had like their jackets and stuff on. Like at the very end, like Luke's like jacket thing he had was pretty cool outfit, you know. Oh yeah, and then you got like Leia's like kind of robe thing. It's all great. Like the stormtroopers are pretty unique. You never really see like like the suits like that before, like in the 70s. Uh, then yeah, so in total we got a 95 out of 100. In total, this movie scored a 183 out of 200, which rounds to a 9.15 out of 10. Honestly, for the 70s, this movie is great, and it still is. I really enjoyed the visual graphics this movie has with the pyrotechnics and the lighting. What I also really liked is the acting. You can hear the emotion in the voices and see it in the faces. I highly recommend this movie to anyone because it's a blast to watch all the way through. Krayrk, what do you think about this movie?
I thought the movie was really good. It was a fun watch and an overall classic. Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill definitely stole the show and did a fantastic job with their characters. While A New Hope is not my number one favorite Star Wars movie, it's still up there in my favorites, and it's a fantastic movie. And if someone hasn't watched the original trilogy yet, I highly recommend watching it. It's such a blast of a scene.
Yeah, so we both really love this movie and recommend you to go watch it and get your own opinion on it. Our next top 10 movie video will be The Empire Strikes Back, so stay tuned for that. We had a blast recording and planning this, so I hope you guys had a blast watching this video. Leave some suggestions for any movies or comments in the Discord server, which I have a link in the description for. We'll look at this Discord server suggestions more again first, but we'll also check the YouTube comments as well. Thank you, Krayrk, for editing this video and helping me out a lot. If you have any questions for him, then he'll do his best to respond, whether that be like in the Discord or YouTube comments, whatever. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, then please subscribe. We're going to keep making these videos. Any constructive criticism is welcomed and appreciated. We would love to improve on anything we can. This is Tawper, and can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Have a great day or night, afternoon, some alternate dimension day-night cycle, and see you all later.